This is That One Audition with Alyshia Ochse.
I always start in the beginning, but Milan, it's been a while since I've gotten to see somebody's audition tape, so I'm just gonna start at the end. That FUBAR audition is public. Did you know that?
I
Your
did
aud-
not. I did not know that.
I found your audition tape.
Where is it at? I
I
have not.
mean, I just Googled it and it just said Milan Carter's audition tape, which is brilliant. It's great. I'm gonna send people a link to watch it because
That's crazy.
when I work with actors, also when I do tapes, I always say, I want my tape to look like it can fucking be dropped right into the episode. Like the producers are like, yep, rinse, repeat, put it over here. That scene, it's that first scene that you do, it's the first scene that we meet you in FUBAR. It
Yeah.
is to a T everything you did in the audition down to the big Slurpee cup.
And
Like,
the funny thing is, the Slurpee Cup wasn't written in the audition. I was like, what can I do to make this more me? I need something. I need something. So literally, I was like, I could just do an audition in front of just a blue screen, or I can take my laptops and slide them just the edge into the screen and really set it up as if I'm really doing work. And I think for me, it was great because I didn't have to think as much. I also could cheat. Don't tell it. So my lines could be right there on the computer screen, but
absolutely.
it looks like I'm reading information. So it just was allowing me to just to lock in because there's a lot of dialogue in that first scene. And it's
Mhm.
just sometimes as actors, we get so worried, do I know my lines? Do I not? But if I can cheat and actually use the instrument as my sides, it was an easy field day.
It was everything. Your eye lines were great. For me, it's a comedy. Thank you for giving me that slurp of like right in that moment. It's such a great tape. And I always love hearing like that it's that one audition. So I want to hear the audition. You already walks through like how am I going to make this so much more me? But I want to talk tone because I worked with a couple of people that were auditioning for FUBAR. Really know the tone. Like when it's a pilot, you're like action comedy and it's Arnold. So like how
Yep.
much action is it going to be versus how much comedy? I would love to know your process. You gave us just a little bit, but from reading it, what you thought into the whole process of getting the show.
When I read it, first off, I was like, oh, I get to be the guy in the chair my way. I was like, great, I can do this. Like, I've been a nerd all my life. And it's just like, I get to work alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger because I had a babysitter growing up. And in the summer, she would take us to like free movies with camps to see all of Arnold Schwarzenegger's movies. So from Junior to Kindergarten Cop, I'd seen them all. So when I saw the opportunity, I was ecstatic. I had just finished shooting a Nickelodeon show called Warp. So I was in the whole warp space, and as an actor, sometimes people try to put you in a box. They're like, "Oh, if you do Nickelodeon, you'll become a Nickelodeon actor, and you'll never get out of that box." And literally, my acting teacher told me not to take the job, but I had a
Told you not to
baby.
take the Nickelodeon job?
He told me not to take the Nickelodeon job. You're not a Nickelodeon actor, Milan. And I was like, I'm an actor. I literally called one of my mentors, also my pastor, and the first pilot I booked was actually about his show. So we've always had this relationship. And one thing he said to me that changed my mindset, he was like, hey, the God we serve doesn't leave us trapped. Right? If something is for you, you're not going to be stuck at Nickelodeon. So I went in, I took that job, and it was really like a testing ground. And it's nothing like kids because kids remember or they remind you on why you started to act in the first place. There's no pressure of these lines. Oh, I got to do this thing. I got to make it to this next level of my career. They are really there just playing and having fun. So I think having Warped was such a great stepping stone before FUBAR came because it allowed me to play. It allowed me just to be free and not think about, oh, this is Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is the Terminator. This has to be perfect. It was like, yo, how can I have the most fun on tape and make this a show that people want to join? Because when I look at Arnold Schwarzenegger shows, it's always in movies, they make you feel a certain way. They make you want to be a part of it. They make you want to join the fun. And I was like, this is what this audition needs to be. So when I went into it, that was my mindset. And so, yo, how can I create this world that people just want to kick it in and be a part of? Because that's the energy Arnold brings.
Nailed it. You did. I was so excited to find the tape because then
Thank you.
because I had to go back and watch FUBAR again. I wanted to watch from your lens. And I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
just drop that tape right there.
And the
There was
crazy thing is, it's like right now in hindsight, I could say it was so easy, but I did at least 100 takes.
of your
And
self tape.
Yeah, I had self-tapes. It's a love-hate thing because I like going in the room and I can just leave it. It was what it was. I can't change it. But a self-tape, you be like, hit this joke, and he go back and watch that. I could be a little bit sharper. I could be a little bit stronger. And I had wardrobe changes. I've had so many different things going into that tape where I was just unsure on which one was the best. I shot multiple takes on one day. I called a different friend to be a different reader on another day. So it was a crazy process. And I can go on, but I want you to lead the
No,
conversation because,
no, please go on
yeah,
because I always tell people, and I try to with myself, I'm like, only do 5 or 6 takes because once you're going past 10, how are you gonna choose? So I'm gonna laser in on this because especially since you said you did so many. So you're doing a lot of rehearsals, essentially. You were doing rehearsals on camera. Milan, how the hell did you know which one to send if you did so many?
so typically my new rule of thumb is I start with the last, right? So if I do say 25 takes of a scene, I used to get overwhelmed by having to watch all of them. But my thing is I usually go five or something and I watch those and see what I like. And then I'll do some more. And instead of going back to the beginning, I won't watch them all. I'll go with whatever take felt the best. And if I was right in my mind that it felt the best, I'll watch the takes before and after that. So I won't go through all of them. So there probably is some takes that might even have been better that I'll never see because I won't go back down that line.
Okay, so then which do you know which take roughly out of the several that you did for that one ended up, was it the last one you did? Was like the last day of shooting that you for yourself, the self-tape that you're like, this is it. I finally got it.
100%. Yeah, I kept going and kept going. It definitely was one of the later takes. And I had two scenes. I'm not sure if both scenes are on the audition plate, just
Just the
one.
one.
So
Yep.
the other scene, and this is what made me so crazy because the other scene was the poker scene. That's in episode, I think, 6 of season 1. It was much more inappropriate than what made it to TV. So they had a line in there about a orgy. So basically, I was lying. I went to some school or went to somewhere, and they said, I ain't never see you there. You was in that tape with the lion mask, and basically I was bottomless in a lion mask and part of a sex orgy, and I had to lie my way out of it. And I was just like, this can go so many different ways. This can be insanely funny, or this can be insanely like real and heavy drama. And I had no idea what direction to take it. And I was like, how much of a wimp is Barry in this? So that was the scene that really threw me for a loop. I was like, how do I dress? Do I dress real nice? Do I dress like a nerd? Do I dress like James Bond? I had no idea which way to take it. And luckily, I was like, let's hit off two takes. I was like, you gonna get one in this suit, you gonna get one in the cool suit. So I gave him two very separate takes. And then when I got to my, I guess, director producer session with Nick Santor, he helped me learn what the tone was and pick the right one.
Okay, great. So then that's what I was wondering. Was that over Zoom or did you get to go in and work with?
Listen, I was the last one hired on FUBAR and the first one to shoot. When I tell you the loops and hoops I had to go through to book this job, listen.
That's
So
what I want to know.
I
Yeah.
auditioned in the beginning of January. Get this audition. It
January, was
was
it 2022 that you guys were auditioning? Because it came out in 23 and I couldn't remember.
so I do everything based off of I got a new computer and I don't know how to focus. Here we go. Sorry. Do not disturb. Bam. Here we go. My son was born in 2022. So yes, it was January 2022. So he's all a part of this story too. And I auditioned in January and I don't hear anything back for weeks. And I was like, all right, cool. They don't want me. All good. Pilot season is approaching. Let me figure out what my look is. And I felt so often looking like this, I'm either like a ditz or like I love astrology or I'm like Lenny Kravitz-esque. Like those are the only characters I really get to play. I never get callbacks for doctors, lawyers, anything white collar because I guess I get put in a box by this look. So I cut my hair all the way off. Cut it all the way off. This is like the day before the Super Bowl. So we're in the middle of February, day before the Super Bowl, I cut my hair off. And the very next day, Super Bowl Sunday, I get a phone call, a text from my manager, and it says, hey, remember that Arnold Schwarzenegger project you auditioned for an eternity ago? They want to meet with you today. I was like, today
The
isn't Super
date?
Bowl Sunday today? Like today? Like Sunday today? And she said, yeah, stand by, more info coming soon. And I was like, thank God you told me at 8 in the morning because I was about to be drunk. It's the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. We turning up. I think
Yes.
the Eagles is in the Super Bowl that year too. Come
This is
on now.
working. Yes.
Listen, I was so now instead of turning up, I'm now sitting there fidgeting my thumbs and figuring out what do I even have to remember? Because the audition was a month ago.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I said. Do I need to go over my lines? Are the lines different? Like he just wants to meet with me? What does that even mean?
And you have a small baby. I don't even know if you're sleeping.
No, I don't have a baby
Wait.
yet.
Oh,
I
he comes
don't.
later. Okay.
I don't. So now I'm like, all right, what do I do? What do I do? So I'm just sitting there. All right, I start to review my lines just in case I have to have an audition on a Super Bowl Sunday. So hours go by and I get my manager hits me back, says, hey, he had Super Bowl remorse. He'll just meet with you later.
Oh,
Whoa,
wait.
what? The Super Bowl is about to start in 30 minutes. I could have been at a party already. Now I don't even have time to drive there. So I just move on, let it go. And remember, I took the Nickelodeon job. So if anybody's an actor, when you sign on as a series regular, there are options on the table. Now, we did not take the Nickelodeon deal without the possibility that I can get another project, right? That was written in our contract, and in the execs at Nickelodeon were all like, yo, if something comes, we're super supportive. Just give us a heads up. We'll work with it. So now it goes from he wants to meet with you today to Nickelodeon wants to, they're not sure about Netflix. We have to figure out what position we can put this in. They don't want to come in second place. So I'm not sure if we can do that. So literally my agents had to fight for me to actually get a chance to even audition because Netflix wanted to be in first place. And Nickelodeon was like, no, you can't have first place. You can only have second. And the way that they were selling it was like I was guaranteed a season 2 on Nickelodeon. I was like, all right, cool. My career is booming right now. This is a good fight. So shout out to Sam Rubin, my agent at Innovative. So he fought a good fight. And then eventually, what, maybe a week and a half, I think it was like a 2 week battle. I finally now had a chance to even get on Zoom to have a session with the producer.
Oh, so this is drug out for
Drug
that
out. Drug out.
long.
So now I finally get on Zoom with the producer. We talk for an hour and he says, yo, Milan, I seen your audition tape and it was exactly who Barry was. Like I knew it as soon as I seen it. It's like, boom, you did
Put it
that, man.
right in the episode. I'm telling you.
And he told me Barry's backstory, and we talked a whole lot about it. And then at the end of us talking, so basically we had a producer session, and then the very next day was the actual Zoom test. So he's basically guiding me and I guess telling me what his thoughts were for the character. So we don't rehearse or anything, we just have a conversation. So at the end of our conversation, he stares at the screen and Mr. Carter, because that's what he calls me. Did you cut your hair? And I was like, see what had happened was I had went to the barber to get a line up and zzz, he took off a little bit too much. So I just had him even it all out. So here we are now. And you can see the panic ensue on his face. He was like, how do I get that guy back? And he's a
How do I
bald
get a
white man.
fro? How do I get a
Yeah.
fro immediately?
And he doesn't understand black hair. He doesn't understand. He's like, how fast does your hair grow back? I was like, that hair was like 6 years old because my hair was bigger than this when I first auditioned. And he's just, okay. He said, yeah, I get hair envy. I've been bald for over 20 years and I've seen your fro and I just thought, oh, that's what Barry needs. And I immediately called my manager and said, I don't think I'm gonna get this because I don't have a fro. He really seemed very set on it, but he left on a good note. And then the next day we get on the Zoom with Mindy Marin, who was our casting director, and we run it and put it all on tape. And I was like, that felt great. Immediately after that, I told my wife, I said, yo, I think I booked it. Let's go out to dinner and celebrate. This will be our baby moon because our son was due in about a week. And I was like, this will be the last time we get to go out. So we also celebrating me booking this Netflix series with Arnold Schwarzenegger, speaking it into existence. And then also we're celebrating our last time without a kid. We go, we celebrate, and then the next morning, I get a text from her dad. And her dad says, I need you to call me when y'all wake up. And I was like, okay, Pops, cool. I call him, and he says, yeah, Ashley's brother is in a coma.
Oh
What?
God.
Yeah, he said he went down. So that my wife is from Birmingham, Alabama. And so he drove from Birmingham to Montgomery to buy some shoes. And I guess at some point he wound up doing some cocaine. And that cocaine happened to be laced with fentanyl. So I went from, oh, I'm about to book this crazy series with Arnold Schwarzenegger. My life is about to change to within 24 hours, we're on a plane flying to Birmingham, Alabama to see her oldest brother in a coma. And so, yeah, it was really heavy at the time.
Lord, what a switch.
And it's just, I also have a pregnant wife. So we had to call our midwife to see if it was even okay for us to fly. Right.
Yeah.
And she said, hey, the baby's supposed to come on Saturday. I need y'all to be back no later than Wednesday because if she has the baby in Alabama, you'll have to stay there for a while. And I was like, one, I don't want to have my child in Alabama. I've been through this whole journey with my midwife. I want to be able to finish our program here. So me and my wife made a deal. We was like, all right, we'll go, but this is what a Saturday. We'll go, but we have to be back no later than Wednesday. And now we go down there, and it's one of those things. I'm just sitting there waiting. I'm gonna get a phone call any minute. Can I even celebrate? Can I even be joyous about this even happening? And for days, crickets. And all I get to see is her brother's health not improving. He is on a respirator and he's not going anywhere. So it went from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. And at the same time, pilot season is beginning. I'm getting auditions out the wazoo and I'm out of town, don't even have my setup and I don't have any type of emotions at all. My tank is on E. So I get a couple auditions, and her cousin, he actually worked at a car dealership. He went to the car dealership, helped me print out my sides so I can run them. And I think I had a really dramatic role. It was for a show called Found that was on
Yeah.
NBC. And
Rest in peace, found. Yep.
rest in peace. And it was a really heavy scene that I had to do. And I was like, I don't even have to act. Cool, I'm here. So I wound up putting that on tape. And again, this is now what, Tuesday, and I still hear nothing back from FUBAR. And at the time, it was called the Untitled Arnold Schwarzenegger Project. So on our last day, which was Wednesday, they pronounced her brother deceased, and then we flew home.
Oh, I
And that
did
was it.
not think that's where that story was going. I'm so
Yep.
sorry. My God.
It's all good. We've made peace with it. And it was a tough time. So now you go from that to we fly back, and then I get a call back for the Found audition. So, so now I am on Zoom with Found, and so we do the setup. They love my tape, and I don't know if I was choice, but I was good enough that from that audition, they wanted to give me a test deal. So a test deal was on the table, and
These are divine timing things because when you got a good agent, they know how to put the pressure on. Did they take
test
that
test
pressure?
test deal was on the table, and the casting director, I guess I don't know what happened. She couldn't get in contact with my agents. Maybe she was aggressive, but she DM'd me. She got my email from Instagram, emails me and says, hey, this is Leah Daniels Butler. Hit me when you get this message, Milan. I call her and she said, "Yo, what's up? Yeah, your team's not responding. I want to give you this opportunity, and so what's going on?" And I was like, "I think it feels like I have an Arnold Schwarzenegger series, which is straight to series, and Found at the time was just a pilot." And she was like, straight to series. I can't really compete with that. I wish you nothing but the best. Again, I still haven't heard anything, right? So apparently, this is the last thing I heard. I left this part out. So when I get back, do the callback with the producers and the director for Found. Then the very next day, I'm like, yo, FUBAR don't respect me. Forget them. F them. With the untitled artist fiction prayer, I don't even want it. And then my manager is like, no, 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 no. I think they want you, but they're at a yoga retreat. So they can't sign your documents until they get back. And I was like, what? So yes, they're at a yoga retreat, and once the executives come back, they'll all sign and something like that. Fast forward now,
Yeah, I
nope.
mean, with casting, did you tell?
Even so,
Yeah.
let's nix that. That didn't happen yet. So we're gonna put that part of the story later. So literally, so Leah hits me. I said, I think I'm in the running for FUBAR. So Mindy Marin had told my reps that I was still choice and that they were still seeing something right now. Come to find out later, what I found out from a partner, they tested someone else while the FUBAR still had me on hold. They tested another guy who more so fit the breakdown of Barry, being out of shape, being overweight, and so forth. So they tested him, and he didn't get it. So then they came back to me a week later. They came back to me. And then when they came back to me, I'm now, my son was born. Yeah. So my brother passes away on Wednesday, do the found stuff. And then that Saturday, my son is born. And then time go by. So then that following Thursday, I do a chemistry read, newborn baby off screen on Zoom, and I had to do my chemistry with Arnold. And my reps was like, yo, we need to know by end of day, because y'all been dragging out this process. End of day, do you want Milan or not? Because we have other options on the table. So let us know. And they don't. So the whole weekend goes by after doing my Zoom with Arnold, and I'm just like, I guess,
Can I put a pin in this right now?
yes,
How are you
please.
doing the Zoom with Arnold? Growing up watching, this is your first time pretty much interacting with Arnold, I'm assuming, over Zoom. Your guys' chemistry is so ripe in the actual show.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
want to know, it like felt like it had marinated for a long time. And us actors have to get on Zoom and we have to create chemistry in these two boxes. Like, how was that chemistry with Arnold?
So I'm gonna tell you this. So Mindy Marin, basically, I guess the main note they gave me was that my audition scene, the one I did with Arnold, is actually the one where I first was right after his retirement party when I take him into the room and tell him about Omar Polonia, right? So that's the whole scene. So it's a 5 page like a monologue. And I'm doing most of the talking and it's banner. So Mindy Marin's note was like, yo, this is like a procedural. So any and everybody that would read with me, I would run these lines with them. And I had I was clipping. Like I was fast with it, just giving out the info, doing it just like a primetime procedural. Nothing can prepare you to read with Arnold. I get in there, everybody's fast, fast. Arnold's so, yeah. And I'm like, and Arnold's like, about that. Sir, are we in the same scene? Are we in the same scene at all? And then also, I'm like, yo, this first time seeing Arnold, I'm excited, but then you see how slow he read, and I'm like, I don't know if he got it anymore. I'm like, I'm not, this is rough. And
This is
I
not hitting
didn't,
the comedy. It's a musical.
I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know what this is. Clearly, I'm not about to book this show. So I did 2 takes. And then on the third take, I was just in my head and I was just like, yo, just make Arnold look good. Stop worrying about how you rehearsed it. Stop
Yeah.
worrying about what you think it should be. At the end of the day, your job is to serve him up on a platter so he could knock a home run. And I just became a giving actor. I made it more about him than about me and my dreams and aspirations. And when I asked him, I said, Arnold, can we do one more take? He said, what kind of bodybuilder would I be if I didn't like reps? And I was like, what I like to do on especially Zoom callbacks and tests, since it's a weird time, I love to have at least one other person in the room with me. So my mom was in the room, my wife was in the room, and also my acting coach was in the room. So they're on the other side of the camera. And the reason I do that is so I don't go crazy. Because as an actor, we book 1,000 auditions in our head when we leave the audition. And
100%.
and
And
also,
then you don't remember. It's so nice to have a witness. How'd
yeah,
that go? What?
exactly. You could just let it go because and it's either we book it when we in our heads when we walk into our car, or we sit there and go crazy. Dang, if I would have did that, I would have if I would have did this. So by me doing it again, I'm in the zone. I'm just letting it flow, hitting jokes with Arnold and stuff, and then I see my acting coach behind the screen like, yeah, 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 because he was so happy that I asked for one more take. And he said, that's the one. That's the one. So I'm trying not to smile and I'm enjoying it. Now, I think I did great work. Mindy Marin says, Arnold, where's your donkey? And then Arnold comes and brings his donkey in. I didn't just do great work. Now everybody's, oh, look at Lulu. Motherfucker. I just dropped some bombs on you and you gonna bring in Lulu, feeding her carrots. Fuck y'all. So in the middle of that, I was really like, wow, they don't care about me. They don't respect me. This is some shenanigans right here.
You're like, here's my child. You haven't
Yeah,
seen
yep. Do you want to? I got a baby. There's
I
a
got
baby Trump things. I got a baby. You lucky he taking a nap right now. But so that happened. Later on, Arnold told me why he brought the donkey out. He
What?
said the donkey was to calm the room. Everybody was like had different opinions and different things. And he said, I brought the donkey out so people could see that you're a fucking person. It's just like stop worrying about the lines. It's clear that this dude can act. Can y'all just take a breather and just relax? So for him, Lulu was an icebreaker. And I was like, this man is a genius. You brought
Great.
a donkey to break the ice and let people get out of their heads just so I could be free and not have to worry about so much stuff. I was like, wow, you are one of a kind, sir. You are one of a kind.
Wow. He
So
knew what
yeah.
he wanted. Okay.
He-
Okay, so now to complete this story, so after the Zoom with
After the
Arnold.
Zoom, they said 20, that we need to know by the end of the day because I did it like a Friday morning. And then Monday comes by, I text my manager. I said, they don't respect me. I don't even want the job. Forget about it. She said, no, look, they're at a retreat. They're just waiting for them to get back. I didn't want to tell you they told me that you booked it, but until things were signed, I didn't want to send you false things. So then basically, I think that Monday night or Tuesday, they confirmed that I booked it. And then they said, I need you to get to Toronto in what, a week and a half, 2 weeks? Yeah, my
Congratulations.
son, by the time we got to Toronto, I don't even think my son was a month old yet. And so he was born at home. So born at home means you don't have a birth certificate.
Yep.
It means you don't have a social security card, and you definitely don't have a passport. So we had to get all three of those things and try to get to Canada by April 18th.
The TV and film landscape, it's constantly changing, but traditional actor training has largely remained the same.
It's focused on a theater model whose main goal is to help you stretch the expression of your instrument. That's why you can have years of training,
From scene study classes to audition classes.
to even an MFA, and still not be able to book a two-line co-star.
That's why we created the Bridge for Actors.
A collection of tech, craft, and business online courses to teach you the skills that you need to go from a student of acting
To a working actor.
This is a hell of an audition story. And
And,
well, and I have to
and it's
ask.
not over. It's not
Yeah,
over.
because I was like, what about Nickelodeon? What happens with, yep, keep going.
So
This is
luckily
great.
Warped had just wrapped, right? So Warped had just wrapped and we were done with that. And they brought us on the Kids' Choice Awards. And everybody at Nickelodeon, all the execs was like, yo, congratulations on the Netflix show. So happy for you. I was rooting for you to work with Arnold. I was like, it didn't seem that way. It didn't seem that way as hard as my reps had to fight just to get in there. But yeah, about five different execs all say how much they loved me working with Warped. And because we were such a big piece of the Kids' Choice Awards, I thought we were guaranteed for a season two. Kind of find out we did not get that season two. So now, fast forward, I have to basically get my son's passport all within a week. I have to go get his birth certificate, get his social security, and then go get his passport. On the way to the passport office. Now, our flight leaves Monday morning. It's Thursday. We get an appointment to go down there, get the same day passport. We're driving down there, and it's the same day that a police officer gets shot in the 405. So, so I'm living in Northridge at the time. So it's usually just a straight shot. Shit took me 20, 25 minutes to get right to the passport office right there in Westwood. So me, like a dummy, I get off of the freeway and decide, all right, I'm gonna take the back roads. It'll be quicker. Took me 2.5 hours.
Oh my
I
Lord.
get there, the security guard is, hey, was you stuck in that traffic? I said, yeah. So can you just see if they can still let me in? His boss says, no, he's too late. We're not letting anybody else in because of the freeway incident. It's too late. And I'm like, today is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. I just paid this Beverly Hills place $500 to get an expedited passport for next day. And now I got nothing. What do I do? My flight is Monday. I can't leave my newborn. And then my
How
wife
do you
ain't
smuggle a baby into Canada? This is
right? That's what I'm thinking now. But by the grace of God, everything's all connected. So that first pilot I booked, written by Saladin Patterson, about my pastors, and the lead, the female lead, her Kelly Jenrette, her husband happens to work at the passport office.
no way.
I was like, he sees me and we dap it up. Hey, what up? Blah, blah, blah. We're with Kelly on the Leslie Odom pilot. And he was like, oh, yeah, I remember. And we started chopping it up. He said, they're not going to let you in. I said, nah. He said, all right, I'm going to tell you something that I shouldn't tell you. And I probably shouldn't be sharing this with the world. But hey, people need to know how their government works. He said, yo, what you can do is send the email to your local councilman and let them know what happened. They should be able to get you a next day appointment. Hit them up, literally 24 hours later. I get an appointment, get the passport all same day for my baby. There was one more thing that didn't work out. So we get there. I'm a photographer. I used to shoot for days. I think my lighting's pretty decent. I shoot my son's passport headshots, and he's in army fatigue. He's in camouflage. They said, I'm sorry, we can't use these photos because they may confuse him as an armed service person. What? You think this newborn
One left.
baby might be okay, cool. So I took very cute photos of him, but we had to go upstairs to like the third floor of the passport office. They have this little room, and they took the worst passport photo of my son ever. But we still got it same day. And then we were able to still fly out and go Monday morning and fly out to Canada.
What? I mean, I have tears, a lot of
Hmm.
tears from that. That is one of welcome to the life of being an actor. Like
Uh-huh.
truly, the highs, the lows, the corners. And also, I just think there's so much going on behind the scenes that we don't know that our team tries to not tell us, not because
Yep.
they just to not have our hopes go to a certain place or get us overly involved, but it is constantly, I always say, what's for you will find you. It does
Hmm.
not matter what rocks need to be overturned. The stories that I've heard doesn't matter if it takes them 9 months to see 50 other people. When it's you, it's
Yeah.
you. I don't
I
see
really
Mary as anybody else. I don't care what length your hair is.
thank you.
When you see a tape like that, and I think that's the thing that like so many actors are up in arms about, oh, this self-taping game. I want to go back in the room. I want to be able to do that. No, you can tell within 5 seconds if
Hmm.
somebody's right, if they're involved, if they're like in it. And I just feel like I wanted to ask so many questions, even because I know that you came out to LA, $400. And you, from what I can understand, you had to learn even if you majored in this, it doesn't matter if you major in anything to do with theater, television, journalism. Once you get to actually figuring out how to get the job, that's a whole different muscle set. So, what is your training? Because you're so comfortable in front of camera. And I know you were doing Warped for a little bit, but what's the building blocks to get to that level of comfortability to allow your essence to start coming out? Because, like you said, who cares about the lines? They don't actually care about the lines. Actors get so precious about doing
Hmm.
it versus allowing the camera to come in and getting to show you, like getting to show Milan. That's what we're hired. That's what they're hiring you for. It's your
Yeah.
essence. You
So
stole everything that you did in the audition and put it in there. Like, is
I 100% agree with you. You couldn't have said it better. I think it's definitely about that and you bringing your version of the truth to light. And so I have one friend, we actually met in acting class, and he will not put in the work. He's just like, yo, Jim Carrey just gets to be Jim Carrey. Eddie Murphy just gets to be Eddie Murphy. I said, no, that's the craft. Denzel don't just, he said, Denzel gets to be Denzel. No, he don't. Listen, you might think he's similar in every movie, but that's because he's worked so hard on the craft that it looks effortless. The
yes.
goal is to make it look effortless. So you got to put in thousands and thousands of hours. And I think, so thank you. When you say I look so comfortable, that means so much to me. As far as like my training, growing up, I did a little bit of theater, but I'm from the hood in Philly, growing up in the 90s. To say to five older young boys who all are Division One athletes eventually that you wanted to be on stage and be in plays. Like, bro, you want to tell us something? You a little sweet? Bro, relax. No, I'll hoop. I'll hoop. So I wound up just feeling convicted. I just did sports instead. But my junior and sophomore year of high school, I got kicked out of my mom's house. The first time my stepfather swung a shovel and I got a knife and was about to get into it, I got kicked out for the summer. And then that's when I lost the opportunity to start on my basketball team. So my basketball dreams were taken away from me. And then a year later, I got in an argument after getting off of work with my stepfather, and he put a gun on me. And it was just like, and my mom chose him over me. And so I was in acting class in high school over there, but then I went from one of the best academic high schools in South Jersey, Williamstown, and also Winslow High, to Overbrook High School in Philadelphia, which were celebrating AYP. They had whole pep rallies for AYP. That stands for Adequate Yearly Progress. So I went from schools where I could have went anywhere because Jersey is one of the
Uh-huh.
top ranked public schools to a school where they celebrated adequacy. And they didn't have any of my AP classes. I couldn't continue my Spanish. So it was a lot of things I didn't have. So I had to figure out what was the best way to figure out how to get to college. And right before it was mock trial, the whole team of mock trial had just won a city championship and people got scholarships to Brown University. So I started doing mock trial And I realized quickly I didn't want to be a lawyer. I enjoyed are you familiar with mock trial is?
No, I was gonna ask.
All
Tell me
right.
what.
So basically mock trial, you get to perform a court case as litigators and as witnesses,
Oh,
right? So
fun.
the court case at the time was very a la what just happened to Travis Scott. It was about a rapper inciting a riot and someone dies at his concert. Whose fault is it? And so we would debate it, and I think we got to the semifinals of the city championship. And I realized that I didn't enjoy being a litigator. I enjoyed embodying the witnesses. And my principal saw me doing a mock trial. She said, "Oh my God, Milan, you speak really well. A lot, I guess, different than other kids in the hood." And so from that, she was like, "Hey, I got this opportunity coming up, and I want you to be our spokesperson." That opportunity was co-hosting MTV's TRL.
What?
It was high school week. Will Smith had just had this song Switch come out, hey, and he wanted his high school to come on there. So my principal was like, "Yo, Milan's gonna be our spokesperson." Everyone's like, "Hey, this guy here. He ain't even been here more than a year. How is he the spokesperson? I'm SGA president." But as you said, favor ain't fair. When something's for you, it's for you. All of those things were like, yo, I really enjoy performing, but I wasn't clear in how I wanted to perform. I enjoyed hosting, and in between takes on TRL, I would crack jokes with Will Smith. I remember I went up to him. I said, "Yo, man, I've always wanted to meet you. Thank you for this opportunity." He went to shake my hand. I hit him with the Will Smith handshake. And I was like, "Oh, I'm playing with you." And then I gave him my autograph. I said, "Will, I've only been here for about 6 months, and it's clear that you wanted our school to come on here because of me. So hold on to this. Keep it tight." And so in between takes, it was just a whole lot of fun. And that's when I felt most alive. And 2 days later, he called my principal and said, "Hey, I want to take some kids to South Africa and make sure the funny guy goes." And I was like, Will Smith knows my name. Look at that.
No way. Did you go to South Africa with Will Smith?
I went to South Africa, met Nelson Mandela. Yeah, so that was the thing that just changed the game for me. I went from believing that hope was lost, getting kicked out because to do everything right. I was a straight A student, honor roll student, basketball team. I had other parents in the neighborhood that praised me and saying, "I wish my son was more like you. You're such an amazing kid. Don't lose it." My mom never gave me that same praise. And I was always on punishment. And now I get kicked out at gunpoint. A year later, I'm with Nelson Mandela, one of the most forgiving men in history. And I got flown out there by Will Smith. And I was like, if that's not a testament to God's hand, because I can't pen a better story. And it's just about persevering and staying true because they always say you're a product of your environment, but they never tell you get to choose what kind of product. My brother spent over 13 years in prison after getting kicked out. I decided to go a different direction. And so it was just like that was the spark. And so I wound up getting a full academic scholarship to Lincoln University, which is the first historically black college and university. Will Smith sent me a laptop, a printer, and also an iPod, and that's what helped me get through college. So without Will, I don't know if I would still be here and have rediscovered that dream. Lincoln didn't have a theater program, so I was like, what's the next best thing? Like TRL is hosting, let me do journalism. And I went down that path and I studied journalism for 4 years. And I was like, when I moved to LA, acting or hosting, whatever doors want to open up first, that's the door I'm gonna sprint through. And Kevin Frazier, who's now affectionately my LA dad, gave me my first internship at Entertainment Tonight. And he taught me everything there is to know about being a cameraman. So I worked for him for several months, got to travel the world, work with Black Eyed Peas, and I probably shot almost any and every celebrity you could think of. But Kevin, I was too valuable behind the camera, and Kevin wasn't willing to give me an opportunity to like, am I going to get my best cameraman in front of the camera and then I have to find someone to replace him? No, you're not. It doesn't make business sense. So I wound up leaving that. I went to Vibe magazine. I did that for a little bit. And first I was a producer there, and then I seen they had an opening, and I was like, yo, y'all don't have anybody covering movies. I would love to do all the movie junkets. And I started doing that, had my show Movies with Milan, and it was so much fun. And that's when I started to mix acting with interviews. So instead of just going to junkets and doing regular interviews, I would do sketches. Like I had this thing called Amazing Pickup Lines, and it basically would be something so silly, like one I did with Kevin Hart. And it was just like, "Hey girl, hey, can I get your number?" And she's like, "No." And then Kevin comes and I dap him up. She's like, "Kevin Hart?" I said, "Yeah, it works every time." Amazing pickup. So I would do, and then this acts random. So that was like where it started. And long story short, I had just did the Equalizer junket, got flown to Miami, interviewed Denzel Washington and Antoine Fuqua. And if you look at journalism, especially at that time, Kevin Frazier might have been one of five black entertainment journalist men. So the interviews I would get from people like Morgan Freeman and Denzel were different. And I couldn't wait to release this. Go from Miami, come all the way back, about to drive to the studio to shoot my show. And the engineer is like, hey, Milan, I know you're on your way here, but we just got laid off. I was like, all right, can I still just shoot my segment real quick? He said, no, they're currently escorting me out the building. I was like, okay, can you just ask them real quick? I got this tape with Denzel. He's like, they're taking my key. And that was the end of my journalism career. So after that, I had to say, yo, what would you do for free? And go back to the beginning, and I started driving Uber. And one of the most humbling moments, driving Uber, months before I had did the Think Like a Man junket in Vegas. The executive from Sony jumps in my Uber while I'm driving Uber. And I try to keep my head forward. I didn't want to see him. And he looks over, he said, Milan, is that you? I said, hey, what up, man? Yeah, I'm doing a piece on Uber, editorial piece, just to see what it's like to be a Uber driver. I ain't never been so humbled in my life. And
Did he
but
buy it? Did he buy?
no, he let me slide though. He didn't keep digging.
Okay.
I could tell he's uncomfortable. Times are hard. So he let me slide. And then, but I was having so much fun with my passengers and telling stories. I was like, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. So I started making sketches online. And that's when one of my friends like, do you have a commercial agent? And from that, she wound up start being my commercial agent. I started booking commercials and I was like, I want more. So I wound up going to Second City. I was like, yo, I know I can learn how to do commercials better. So I go to Second City, and that's when I really started to hone my comedy chops and my improv and just be ready with the quips. So I did that for a while. And after commercials just start coming, I was like, all right, I got this. Now I'm trying to enhance my craft even more. Then next up, all my Instagram friends, they were like, yo, Leslie Kahn is it. I was like, what? Who's that? I was like, all right, I'll look into her. And I go to Leslie Kahn's class. She has an intro work session. I know she
Yeah.
could be polarizing to some people because she likes to yell. If you don't like to be yelled at,
The farting story that I told you, I was with Leslie Kahn. So I went to Leslie's class that night. I was like, I farted in my audition. And I improv'd. I threw it at the other girl and she did a slow clap. And it was in that studio where everybody started. This is where this was
that's
birthed.
hilarious.
Very familiar with the con. Yeah.
So I did her triage, her intro work session, and basically at the end, she was like, I don't know whether to put you in a remedial class, which is acting
Beginner.
essentials, the
Yeah.
beginner class, or allow you to go with everybody else and go to comedy intensive. I'm gonna let you choose, but you can't see me right now. So you need a little bit of help. You're a little rough around the edges, but when you're done, you can go through all your basic coursework, then come holler at me because you got something special. It's a little rough. And that honesty was the greatest thing I could ever heard. She didn't blow smoke up my butt. She didn't tell me I was the greatest thing since sliced bread. She told me that I had something special inside of me, but I needed to work on my craft. And so I wound up taking two classes at Leslie for 2 years at the same time. And she said the way your brain is set up is different than the average person. Most people will just think, oh, I got two classes for you, and it'd be like taking 6 and 7 classes. So after doing that, I think I did multicam for about 5 weeks straight. I hated it. I was like, this is
You got those tools. She smacks those tools in. I personally, it's good to go, I think, for a couple months and then get out so you don't lose yourself in the tools.
Yeah, see, this is the beautiful part of it, right? Is Leslie teaches one way. Thank God for the other teachers at the studio. So I only took one class with Leslie, and then the other classes were with different teachers who are all trained from all over the world. Like one of my teachers, I think it's Tyler, went to Carnegie Mellon. And this is what really cracked it open for me, is I had this Leslie Odom pilot, which I had brought up, and just how it happens. Sometimes when you think you always have more time in an audition, you think people are rooting for you. So advice to actors, we could label this, is be kind to everyone. You never know who's going to be able to help you. Kevin Frazier gave me my first internship. I showed up every day. I never had a car I didn't have a car for 6 months when I moved to LA. No one knew that. I lived in Ladera Heights. I wound up being a waiter at the LAX Marriott, and then I would ride my bike / put it on the bus and go to Hollywood and intern with Kevin every day, just about. Kevin seen me riding my bike one day down La Brea. He was like, bro, you don't have no car? And I was like, no. He's like, you been going to all these shoots without a car? I say, yep. He said, I got to get you a job. I got to hire you. So now that because of that work ethic, because of me just showing up, Kevin then became my LA dad. I go every year, his oldest son, who now just graduated high school, is going to Howard on a full basketball scholarship, has a paintball party. At this paintball party is this dude with dreads. And I drove because I had to go to work after the paintball party, and all the parents wound up leaving their belongings in my car, saying this dude with dreads. Go to Leslie Kahn's studio. There's a poster of everything that's casting and going on. It's Leslie Odom, Kerry Washington, and a tiny picture of who? The dude with dreads. And I was like, hold up. This dude writes TV? I had no idea. No idea. So my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, had auditioned for the Leslie Odom pilot, and then she got a producer session. She said, you should audition for this. I read the script, like who would I go out for? Blah, blah, blah. I send it to my manager. My manager said, I already submitted you. I can't get you in the room. I said, okay, cool. Hey, Kevin, I never asked you for any favors when I worked for you all those years ago. Is there any way that you could just ask your friend, can I just get an audition? I don't need any favors, just want to get in the room. And literally his dude was like, yo, his name Saladin Patterson. He's now the showrunner on King of the Hill. That's about the reboot. He says, have him email me his stuff. If he's funny, I'll let him audition. The catch-22 about actors. Everybody wants to see your stuff. Everybody wants to see your reel, but how do you get a reel if you ain't been on TV?
Yep. Yep. What'd you send him?
Luck is opportunity to meet in preparation, right? I started doing these comedy sketches on Instagram. I chopped up all my comedy sketches, packages together right there in Leslie's Friday class, sent them an email. It says, hey, Saladin, if I knew you wrote TV, I probably wouldn't have shot you so much in paintball. My bad. But here's my clips. He literally responds to the email, yo, you are hilarious. I will let you audition. I was like, yes.
Milan, yes.
So you think he's rooting for you, right? So you think, all right, I got an inside track. I don't hear nothing for a week or two. Crickets. I said, I guess that was all in vain. Then it's a Monday morning, maybe around noon, I get a next day audition for this. And I was like, you ain't rooting for me. You would have gave me a week. You've been had these sides. I should have been prepping for this because I didn't even know which character you was even going to let me audition for. So I'm like, you don't really want me to win. But because the way Leslie is set up, you get to basically, if you have good peers, you can run your audition 1,000 times. I ran it with everybody and their mama at the studio. And then I took it to class with Tyler that night and I ran it my way. Tyler gave me some adjustments and then he did it his way. He said, I am a corny white dude. There's no way you can do the same audition. You can't make the same choices. So what is your version of that, Milan? And I was like, what? I could do my version? He said, do your version. And it was that the moment it clicked. And then the next day I coached with Leslie and Leslie was like, all right, what did Tyler say? Tyler said this, said that. I said, but I think it's like this, Leslie. And she's like, ooh, I like that. And it's really about me really believing in myself, believing in my voice, believing in my choices. Because as long as you're threaded, as long as you're doing the work and really understand who you're portraying, there is no wrong answer as long as you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
And that's what I really started
You
to
even
lean
said
into.
threading it. You're still threading it to story. You're not like
Yep.
making choices, gangbusters out here. It's just your version of how
Yep.
you would do this story.
And it's through my lens of all my life experiences.
Yeah.
Because the way you've experienced life cannot be the same. Like we did a scene in class the other day is about somebody saying what happened when the store got shot up. I've seen people get shot. So my version of how someone in their 20s or 30s is going to respond to a store getting shot up is very different from somebody who grew up a different life in the suburbs and never seen a gun. So it's just like knowing that's the truth and that's your secret weapon. And then the last thing, always do the version of the audition you would want to do for 5 years.
That
Especially.
part. Yes. Because now look, you get Barry, you're going, we're
Mhm.
going, we're all there, and you want to have fun, and you have so much fun. I was scanning the Instagram. I love how much you haze Arnold. There is nothing that could be better than this relationship that we want to see on screen. It's your comfortability, it's your essence that we gravitate towards. It's Arnold who's gravitating towards you. And that makes the writer's job easy. That allows them to be able to do more seasons if Mr. Schwarzenegger wants to do, like,
Exactly.
if
If
he
he
wants
wants
to keep
to. Thank
playing.
you.
We have to finish this. Obviously, you ended up getting the Leslie. You got that show. So did you
Yes.
submit a tape? And then
No, that was before the pandemic, so I wound up going in the room, and
Oh, you
this is
did in the room.
another tidbit. Actors, hey, there is no rules. The only rule is to have fun, right? So I get there. So basically, in the morning, what I didn't know is I had a regular like test session with the casting director. Why is her name's Julie Ashton? Love her to death.
Yes.
And the year before, I bombed a pilot audition. I bombed it. It was horrible. I was like, Julie asked the cast director, she's never gonna let me get past these gates. So after I do it, that she says, hey, actually, there is a callback this afternoon. Can you be here? Cool. I go to the callback that afternoon. Now in the callback room, Leslie Odom, Kerry Washington, Saladin Patterson, and a few others. Fred Savage at the time, and I signed in number 8. They was like, we're gonna go in audition order. You're first, Milan. I was like, what? I signed in 8th. I'm not ready. So I go in there, and Kerry Washington was like, hey, how you doing today? I said, I'm amazing with a capital A. And she was like, what? I said, seriously, listen, I met the girl of my dreams. I just don't know how to propose. Now, I should never have said that. I should never have said that.
Why not?
In theory, when they say you're here to act, you're here to do a job, but that's how I like, but I was like, I don't know any rules. I don't know any better. Hey, you gonna get this story. So I wound up telling that I said, so everybody was like, you met the girl of your dreams, you don't know how to propose. Hold up. Tell me more. Thank you for asking. So I wound up telling the story. I went to Alabama, took my girlfriend at the time to Philly to meet my folks. Leslie Odom's from Philly. Then I went to Alabama to meet Ashley's family, Saladin Patterson from Alabama. And I said, yeah, I took her dad in the basement on the last day we were there to ask him for her hand in marriage. And 5 minutes later, he told her. That same face you just made. It's the same gas the entire room had. And I said, yeah, he ruined it. So I have no idea how to propose to her. So I'm open to all suggestions. So Fred Sarah was like, you got to dump her. I said, oh, you gonna pay for our therapy? And it just became like a joking session. And we're doing that for about 5, 10 minutes. And then finally, Saladin was like, you ready to audition? I was like, cool, let's do it. And I had won the room already. So all I had to do was be able to read these lines and deliver these lines. And I was playing Leslie Odom's assistant and I cheated again. I used my clipboard as my sides and that's how I delivered it. And I think they said basically I came in and I set the bar so high that no one else came close to it. And when you win the room with the producers, because Leslie Odom had friends, Kay Washington had friends there. They had other actors who had way more credits than me. And I was undeniable to the point that Saladin and Fred fought for me to book that show.
I'm so glad we got to this story because also a lot of people, a lot of actors, it's like you hit the ground running, you get this guest star, you get this
Mhm.
co-star, to all of a sudden jump to now you're in a pilot after just a couple of credits. Okay. And then after that, I think Wild Things comes after that, like Jim Burrows. That's a Jim Burrows show, right?
Hmm.
It's
Jimmy.
comedy gold. And Jimmy doesn't fail, although that one was, I don't know why that one
So
didn't go forward.
it failed because Jimmy had two pilots. It was us versus Chuck Lorre. It was Jimmy and Chuck Lorre versus us. That's why we lost. So Jimmy still won, but just not
Jimmy
that.
still won, but I just want the audience to hear like you start, once you break into yourself and you're able to bring yourself forward to it, you are hitting all of these comedy tracks
Yeah,
and we get FUBAR.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that was a very interesting time. And again, it's all about relationships. You know who cast that Jimmy Burrows pilot? Julie Ashton,
I was just
right?
gonna say
So
that that's
so
where I needed to connect the
she
dots. Yeah.
she connected the dots, but everything that glitters isn't always gold. Like I remember being at Leslie and she told a story about people getting fired. I did not book that pilot right away.
Your replacement.
So Max Muchnick and David Cohan, Will and Grace, they are the showrunners for that, and then they actually have a show on Hulu right now as well. They like Max made it seem as though I was the guy. He sold me all the dreams in the world. It's like, oh, this is you, this part's for you. But there was two versions of the script. I was told from casting, so it's two versions. So basically, my character was written Lenny Kravitz-esque because Max went to high school with Lenny Kravitz. Then it was another version where the guy was more flamboyant. And so it was two separate rights, two separate passages of it. And Network, I guess, wound up going with the other one because the note that I got, which is the weirdest note, and I'm not mad at it, but I never won any superlatives like most attractive in high school. So now the network thinks is he is too attractive. I don't think that the world will understand how someone so attractive could be her AA sponsor and her assistant and there'd be no heat between them and they're not having sex. So that's why I lost that role.
No way.
100% factual. Then they hired the other guy, and his name is Jeremy. He was amazing at what he did. He said they were loving his jokes, and he had a great time, but they wound up firing him for whatever reason. And then Max told me he showed Jimmy my tape, and Jimmy was like, he should have been a guy the whole time. And then I got hired for that. And if anybody knows how sitcoms work, it's usually like a 7 day schedule or 5 day schedule. You get 3 rehearsals and then 2 shoot days. I come in on shoot day number one, pretty much network run through. And I'm like, wow, this is intense. A man just got fired, a black man at that. And now I'm scared to get fired myself. And we're in the middle of the pandemic. So I'm wearing a mask with a face shield. And I have to build chemistry with people I can't even see or hear.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Crazy.
And that's how we did our run-throughs. That's how you're doing even your run-throughs, right? With network and studio sitting there, and then you take everything off as a whole. We're responding to each other as a whole
It's like
different thing.
I can't even see half of your face, and I'm supposed to listen to. Okay, I guess we're doing this, and then you hear Jimmy, Milan, I can't hear you. But when you have
Okay.
plastic mask, I feel like I'm pretty loud myself, Jimmy. I feel like I'm pretty loud.
Can only hear myself. I can hear
Myself.
myself.
Only can hear myself. And it's an interesting thing because as an actor, there is no perfect path. My path is I booked a lot of pilots and that didn't go. But it's like now, all right, I'm this guy with these pilots. My quote may go up a little bit versus the other person who has 20 guest stars. And now I'm competing against you. And it's just like, why would I pay this guy this and I could pay him this because he's never been a series regular before. And I can see his work. I don't have these pilots. I got a clip of the Leslie Odom pilot, got like 2 clips. They were gracious enough to give that I can have internally, but I can never post it. So the world can never see. And it's just there's no perfect path. And it's would I have loved to have been on 20 guest stars and everybody knows who I am? That'd be great. The path God had for me is for me, and I'm just grateful to be here and grateful to play and grateful to be able to play.
And play you do. That's why you're going to continue to work. I'm going to ask one last business question because I'll be remiss. I'll have somebody write in and be like, but wait, when did he get his agent then? Because your manager's been working. You're with Brian, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian Metavoy.
He is a fighter for his clients. He loves, there's nothing, wonderful things to say about him. When did Innovative step in? When did they come in? Because I feel like
So I was with the different manager before Brian, and basically I met 2 young women that were strictly platonic relationships, and they both recommended me to the same manager. And she was like, "Yo, I like your story. I'm here to take a chance on you." And basically we were rocking out, and as I said, she couldn't necessarily get me in for the Leslie Odom, but we wound up booking that. And then everybody was like, "Who the fuck is this dude that
That's
took this job from my client? I ain't never heard of him. Where did he come from?" So that's when people start searching. They was like, I need to know who this Milan Carter is. So me and my manager, we wound up setting up, her name is Jamie Yarrow. She's amazing, by the way. We wound up setting up meetings at various spots, and Innovative is where we landed. She actually used to be an agent at Innovative. So it was her, and I met with Lucas Kozelglad and Sam Muller, and it really felt like home. And the whole thing of Innovative is, even though it's a big agency, it still feels like pretty boutiquey, and everybody works together. So it was like a no-brainer to sign with Innovative.
and it's also, I always say, do the work's going to get you the right teammates. At the beginning, when you're trying to get a teammate without the work, then they're just grabbing you and it's your spaghetti at the wall. If something catches, they'll get to know you a little bit more. They'll start to understand. When a job has been gotten and people are searching to see who got that, then they understand how to sell you almost immediately. They've already been trying to like work on this project, get somebody on this project. I just feel like it works. It just works a little bit better sometimes that way.
100% agree with you. And 2 things on that. One, Kevin Frazier told me a long time ago. He said, don't be the seeker. You want to be sought after, because it's just, as you said, you build that buzz. Like, people did come. Once I booked that pilot, more people came. And it's just like, they'll see you. You just, as you said, do the work and believe in yourself. I think so often as an artist, it's hard to see the wins, especially as an actor. You get told no way more than you ever get told yes. Brian Medavoy was a huge fan of mine, and meeting him, I was thrown off by his energy. I was like, whoa, you're too much. Why do you even like me so much? You don't even know me. when it shouldn't have been that thought at all. It should have been, I am that dope. I'm glad that you see me the way that the world should see me. I'm glad that you can see who I truly am, and I like that. And that's a mindset change I think many of us have to have as an actor, as an artist, in any type of creative form that you do. Is if you aren't your biggest fan, how is somebody else going to be?
100%. There's a reason why you pay your agents and managers 10%. You got to do 90% of the work, not even
That
just the
part.
work, the mental work too. You got to believe. So they believe 10%.
Yep.
So they can get you that opportunity. Milan, this is an incredible journey.
Thank you.
I hear journeys all week long. I've done 750 of these interviews. It tickles me when my cheeks hurt, when it's like, God bless, thank God some doors closed. And I know as young people or even just young in this business, we're looking for all the green lights, but sometimes it's the red lights, it's the door closing, it's your mom making a different choice, it's you getting to be in front of Will Smith. Look at all these bricks, these golden bricks that have paved, like it's not even, you can't even see where this road is going.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
Such a delight to watch you work. I'm so glad I found that audition. Like it just, I was like, this is what I talk about all the time. I want when I work, when I submit a tape, I'm like, yeah, you can go ahead and just drop that right in the episode. Because that's how it should be. Like that's the type of work we should be doing at home. I just can't wait to see what you do next. Like it's
Thank you so much.
so
You
fun.
got me blushing. Thank you.
I truly, I just, that's why if I even tell my daughter this, if you're having fun, we have fun. There's mirror neurons that are going off. If you're in distress, we're in distress, which might also work. It worked for your found audition, right? Whatever you're
Mhm.
thinking and feeling, as long as you let us see that, the audience, we lean in. And it that just gives us so much. Like you embody that so beautifully. So thank you. Like thanks for letting us have this time and this hour. Where can everybody follow along with you and also watch FUBAR? Come on. And I'm gonna put your
Hey,
audition up. I'm gonna put it up if you don't mind. It's stellar.
I would love for you to do that. That's great. That's exciting. I'm like, wow, the world can see it. Because I remember Netflix asking, was it okay? But I never seen it afterwards. So now it's out there. Ooh,
They splice it. They show your audition and then they splice it with the show, which is rad. Like seeing
that's
you do the
dope.
audition and then popping over to what was actually shot. I think that's the master class in acting right now. How we get our, it's not just watching stuff, it's how we get the jobs. Watching other people audition and being like, I can do that. It's permission. People need permission sometimes to play at home.
Absolutely.
And you gave that
Absolutely.
permission. Yeah.
Thank you. This has been a delight. This has been a treat. As I've been on the other side in your position before. You are great. Thank you for being so giving and such a great listener. I had a wonderful time.
Thank you. Thank you. Where can everybody follow along with you? Milan Carter, right? On Instagram.
Milan Carter on all platforms. Milan Carter. And next up is I'm doing a YouTube series called Standing in My Own Way. Yes, I might have booked over 40 commercials, being a Netflix series with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but there's many ways that I still stand in my way daily. And I want to share tips on how to get out of my way and allow you to have those same tips. So maybe you can be fruitful in any career path that you're in.
Oh, when does that launch? Are you
That launches next week.
okay? Yes. Thank you for continuing to put it out there in the world. This is awesome.
Appreciate you. Thank you.